Hey guys, here we are, the Quiggin Out MMA Podcast, episode 52, and I'm here with another very special guest. You may have seen his stuff online. You may have even seen him on TV when he participated in Forged in Fire. But we have the one and only Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, Gene Click. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, absolutely. And I know we were talking a lot before this started, and there's stuff that I probably should have recorded that maybe one day we'll get down that road. But
Sure.
let's jump right into the fact that you're starting a podcast. Why are
Yeah,
you starting a podcast?
man. I wouldn't say I'm an outspoken guy, but I'm a blunt person, and if I got something to say, I like to say it. And I also I also believe I'm a pretty good guy. Like I don't just try to belittle people or belittle things for no reason. If I've got an opinion, I like to say it. And I've gone through a lot personally in my life, and my life is coaching and helping people. And I want to start a podcast because I realize I can only impact so many people in front of me. And if I can say something or whatever that might connect with someone, and I can do it on a bigger stage, then that's why I'm doing it. It's not to make money. It's not to do anything like that. It'll be very bare bones, but I'm just doing it, man, because like I told you, when you die, you take it all with you. You take your thoughts, your opinions, and you take that from people that it could change their lives. So that's why I'm doing it.
Yeah, and I really love that. We were talking about, your sobriety and everything else and how you've kind of brought that, into the gym. It's not an easy thing to talk about. I can't even imagine, it is an easy thing to talk about in that sense, but it seems like you've already impacted, people who train with you who have now
Yeah,
seen what you've gone through. What is that impact for you and how does that, carry on day to day, really starting from the beginning?
man. I dealt with being a functional alcoholic for 15 years. I accomplished everything I've accomplished, which while dealing with alcoholism. I don't know. Functional alcoholism to me is I was able to do everything, um, and but maintain as a dysfunctional functional balance between needing to drink at night in my mind to sleep or to just chill, because my life was crazy stressful and I was promoting MMA events. I was running my gym. I was married. I had kids. I mean, I was training for several years. I was still competing, and man, I was just burning from my every angle I had was on fire. And to me, I felt like alcohol was just my way to balance it. But the reality is, it was never that. I was an alcoholic, and I said, a year into my sobriety, I just said, listen, I'm not embarrassed as shit, like nothing bothers me. And if I have something valuable that could give a kid his dad back or a wife or husband back, or instead of them being just keeping it to myself like I'm ashamed, I've got a big name in my community. I mean, it would have been a big risk to have everyone in this town heckle me.
Yeah.
It could have been huge because I am a person that's been here. I've had my business for over 20 years, and I'm a known guy, and I'm supposed to have all my shit together and have no, Mr. Fitness, Mr. Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm an alcoholic. Well, what, So anyway, I said, screw all that. And the first thing I did was go live on Facebook and just tell my story. And ever since then, I've not stopped. I'm not embarrassed of it. And I've been able to impact and help a lot of men that have come to me, and just because functional alcoholism is everywhere. It's your dad, it's your doctor, it's your lawyer. You'd be shocked because it's usually people that are, I don't want to say successful because that's a snotty ass word, but like they're not just like laying on a bench at 6 o'clock in the morning drinking 40s
Yeah.
at the gas station. There are people out
Exactly.
there getting it done, doing things with their lives, and they have this addiction. They're self medicating with it, you know, and you won't know who they are because they're and it's the most dangerous kind, in my opinion, form of alcoholism, because you found a balance. Like for mine, dude, I wouldn't drink before 5 p.m. I wouldn't drink after 9:30 p.m. I didn't care what I was doing. I had that shit down to a science, but I was going to drink, in the afternoons. I would work my life around it, and it was awful. It was awful. And my health started to suffer, and I just, my life was falling apart. I had to go to the hospital several times in 1 year thinking I was having a heart attack. The stress, everything just caught up with me. And then until finally, June 13th, it'll be 7 years next month. I just said one morning I woke up, and of course I tried to quit drinking hundreds of times, but I woke up and I stopped. I didn't do anything. I didn't go to groups. I didn't do anything. I just stopped. I hit rock bottom. And that's what anyone that wants to seek recovery has to do. Yeah. It's great to have help. It's great to have help, and it's great to be surrounded by people who love you and want to help you. But damn it, at the end of the day, if you don't want to quit, I don't care if you go out to Beverly Hills and go to the most exotic rehab you've ever been in. You're not going to quit. You got to get to that point where you just can't even stand the idea of holding one in your hand, holding a drink in your hand, or a smoke or a drug or a pill, whatever it is, where you just physically are so disgusted by it that you can't even do it another day. That's when you'll stop, and you won't need help. You'll just stop. And I'm no expert, so nobody flame me on this shit. I'm just telling you my story. It's just my story. I woke up and was like, fuck this, I'm done. And I've been done, and it doesn't faze me. I'm around people that drink because it don't bother me. I don't like being around idiots, but I understand, and because of my story, I've had a lot of men with kids and businesses and successful people come to me and be like, man, I got to know what you did. I'm like, I didn't do shit. You ready to quit or not?
Yeah, it stopped there.
Yeah. And then you're done. You're done. And, it's funny because, I got tattoos and stuff. A lot of people have tattoos, but half of them will go get some shit off a wall. But like, this is the date I quit drinking. And this is my left hand, which is the hand I drank with. So I do things like that to keep me accountable. I couldn't imagine picking up a drink with this hand, because that's the date of my sobriety. And so all that's for a reason. It's silly, but if it's not silly to you, it ain't silly. So
no, it's not silly at all, and it has so much, meaning. We talk about this, and again, this isn't trying to be like, oh, look at this, but I'm like, I have a degree in psychology. Like, all of that makes perfect sense, because if you did it on your right hand, your right arm, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have the same effect.
Correct.
So if you
I couldn't, like you see, I couldn't possibly put alcohol to my lips with that hand, and I don't even think I have the coordination to do it with my right hand. So I'd pour it all over my face.
Are you left-handed?
Yeah. It's weird though, man. I do everything right-handed. I'm one of those people. Like I play guitar right-handed. I box right-handed. I throw a ball right-handed. And the only thing I do is hammer, bladesmith, and right. That's it. I
mean, that makes sense. I tried throwing with my left. So I used to be left-handed. I don't know if I've ever told this story. And I had a German babysitter when I was a kid. And every time I used my left hand, she would smack it. My dad's left-handed. So I was like, okay. And I remember just, trying to throw a ball left-handed. And you're like, no,
that's me. Yeah. Yeah.
I can do certain things left-handed that work out. And I remember even my little sister, when she was growing up, we gave her the ball. We put it in her right hand because that's what you think. And she threw it like that. And then we put it in her left hand and let her throw it. And we were like, oh, okay.
Similar story. So I'm 44. I'm an older guy, and I was in kindergarten, and they didn't have any like sophisticated ways to, it was like cavemen, Yeah. And so, when I was there, I guess my motor skills or whatever you call it, but I was doing everything with my left hand. Like, no, I'm sorry, with my right hand. I was playing. We weren't even writing and stuff then, I don't believe, coloring in the lines and shit. So I was outside playing, throwing a ball with my right hand. So they just assumed I was right-handed, and they would put me in class, and I'm like, I can't draw a straight line, or with my right hand. So I'm like, they're like, God, he's got special needs. What's wrong with him? And they put me in a special needs class, which is, and I always was like, what the hell's going on? And one day, I'll never forget her name. She was this mean old lady. Her name was Miss Kingsinger. And she walked up, and I was coloring a picture of a damn cat looking out a window, those little coloring books. I'll never forget it. It was a black cat. I colored it, and I was all shaded in, cool looking. And I walked up, and she about had a heart attack. She's like, he's left-handed. So like, and this was after like being in that class like 6 months. So they put me back in class and realized I was left-handed. And yeah, true story, man. So, yeah.
I didn't think we'd go from sobriety to, special needs class. And
Coloring cats.
anybody listening, watching, we are not making fun of it. But the fact that back then they didn't notice that because you weren't right-handed, you must have been like, there must have been something wrong with you.
Yeah, you don't go through tests. They just went off your motor skills, I guess, how you play, and just assume, well, he throws a ball with his right hand, I'm sure he's going to hold a pencil or a crayon. And then they don't realize, no, it's just, we're the weirdos, man. So.
Yeah, and I mean, really, nowadays I can do very little with my left. I can still eat, I can still do all that stuff if I have to. But
yeah,
and that only comes into play when you're sitting next to somebody who's left-handed, because then you're going to be bumping elbows. So you're like, oh, I'm just going to switch hands.
Dude, it's funny because like I wish I had all those traits to where I would pass guard to my right and do shit. It'd be great. It'd be like a superpower. Everybody passes to the left.
Yeah.
You could pass to your right. You would be a ninja. I don't give a shit if you're a blue belt half the time. But anyway, I'm just saying, I wish I.
Hey, watch it. Blue belt.
Yeah.
Blue belt.
Well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I know exactly, because you're right. Everybody does try to pass.
Yeah. They always pass to the left. Normally, I mean, from my experience, I remember one time I trained at a school. It was a long time ago. And their coach would make every guy left-handed. He'd make all of his MMA guys southpaws. If you rolled, everyone passed to the right. And I went in there, and I swear it was like I never trained a day in my life. And because everyone was it was amazing. And most of these guys were right-handed, but everybody in that gym would spar, compete, pass hard to the right. And I'm not trying to knock on them, but they were terrible, but damn, they were tough because, you just weren't ready for a room full of southpaws. You go into a gym and there might be 100 guys and two southpaws.
Yeah.
That's why the southpaws always seem to have such an advantage, because they're used to those 98 guys that are all conventional. So they have like this cool little skill, and everybody else is just trying, there's two of them and 98, everybody else as far as the same. Same with grappling. Yeah. So his whole gym was like that. So every damn guy I trained with was tough. I mean,
I can imagine the move to the left, it just seems more natural than the move to the right.
Sure.
Sometimes you got to do the back step and do everything else to the right. You're never doing a back step to the left. And if you are, you're a freaking genius, because, who knows how you pulled that shit off.
Well, it's funny because I got my black belt under Elio Seneca, and he passes to the left. I'm sorry, he passes to the right.
Okay.
And he told me once that a lot of times they would put him against De La Riva. I think it's Ricardo De La Riva, the one who invented the De La Riva guard. Just because he would pass to the right, and it would shut his De La Riva down. And because you got to realize, almost like he would fit into De La Riva, and De La Riva's not. You got to realize, it's nothing like it is today.
No,
his style.
Like, we've been training De La Riva like as recently as last night. Yeah. And I will say this, and it's no disrespect, I'm not built for De La Riva.
Nah,
my body is not.
Nah, you just gotta. Well, I'm that way, man. I'm 5'7", 260 pounds, and just built like an ape. So I don't do that inverted shit and all that. But there's aspects of it I like.
But absolutely.
Yeah,
transitional.
Man, listen, it's just like any move. It's like a buffet, man. You got to make your own plate, and every move. I don't care how great it is. It's going to be shit for somebody and amazing for someone else. And that's why I can say with my gym, as soon as people get to like purple under me here, I put them in charge of, might not even know they're teaching that night. I'll just jump in class. I am hyper focused on free thinking with my students. And so I'll put them in the hot seat and be like, show your favorite thing. And, or they'll come in and they're like, hey, let me show you this move I learned on this video on BJJ Fanatics. I'm like, awesome. You're going to teach that tonight in class. And they're like, I'm like, yeah, it's, but what I'm trying to do is to get my guys to think on their own. I don't know, in the world of jiu-jitsu, I don't even know like less than shit. This too big, and it evolves every day. Jiu-jitsu is going to evolve today.
Yeah.
where a lot of traditional martial arts hasn't evolved in hundreds of years. Jiu-Jitsu is going to evolve today. And that's why I told my guys, I was promoting one of my black belts, and I said, listen, I learned a long time ago not to just base rank and stuff on just skill, because as the old saying, father time's undefeated. We're all going to suck at this at some point.
Yeah.
I don't care. Gordon Ryan is going to suck at this at some point. I mean, because age. And so it's important that that you gauge your progression on more than just being a king of your own mat.
Yeah.
And so I try to tell my guys, I can't be your YouTube, I can't be your Google, I can't be the end of all end of your jiu-jitsu, because number one, you're probably not going to roll like me. I don't want you to roll like me, and I want you to pick up what you benefit from me and the fundamentals and the basics. But as quickly as as soon as I know that you can walk on your own, I want you to start discovering your own thing, instead of just putting you into my jiu-jitsu cult and making you do the same shit I do, and wear the same gis I wear and the same shit like that. That's trash. And so
that's one of your bullet points. That's one of the bullet points.
Man, listen, and I'll say whatever. I'm nobody, man. Like, I mean that. Like, I'm just a hillbilly down in Tennessee that's been doing jiu-jitsu nearly 30 years. I love all grappling. If it's grappling, I'm in. I'm nobody. I'm no Johnny come lately with BJJ fanatic shit out there and whatever. What I'll tell you is that I've watched every trend come and go. I started jiu-jitsu in 1994, and I watched everything. I mean, literally, every trend, every new guy. I watched when guys like Tejeda were tearing up the scene, and then you had your then onto your Marcelos and all those guys. There's these phases. When Ricardo Arona and all those the early ADCC guys, Mark Kerr, all that. I've watched every badass number one guy in the world since it kind of really hit here in the States, and it's never going to stop being those things. I mean, I'm saying in 5-6 years, we might start seeing a new changing of the guard. And Gordon Ryan, I believe, has even talked about it, where he's like, there's up and comers, and thank God for those guys who've changed the game. Yeah. They changed the game more in a couple of years than people weren't doing no-gi because it sucked. I mean, no-gi sucked. It was boring. It was a bunch of wrestlers, a bunch of slippery sweat and stalling, and the occasional submission. Early ADCCs were painful to watch. But you get these guys coming in that says, I don't care what you like. If you don't like that I do leg locks or not, it is what it is. You lose, And, man, I'm not one to jump on a bandwagon. I'm not against it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a brat. I'm not like, oh, I don't like that shit. These trendy. I'm not. I'm very open-minded. I'm down for whatever, but I got to find the value in it. Like, I can't do some fluffy stuff and dedicate time to it or give it to my students. It's got to be real. That's one of the reasons the last couple of years I've really got heavily into wrestling, catch wrestling, just submission wrestling. Wrestling. Yeah. Not
jiu-jitsu wrestling.
Yeah. But more emphasized. Yeah. But more emphasized on the aspects of wrestling that I think should be in jiu-jitsu. One of the reasons I got tons of wrestlers that come to me and train with me. And the main reason they do is they hear from other wrestlers that I'm not going to take their nuts from them. I'm not going to make them jiu-jitsu guys when they're, badass collegiate wrestlers. Like, don't bring them in and put them on their back and tell them to get comfortable, because they're not. Yeah, no. And you got to realize, I mean, what is it now? It took me 20 years to get my black belt because there was just no one to promote you. But I think the average now is like 8 years, 10 years. So you got to realize that if these guys have been wrestling since middle school, bro, all the way up through middle, elementary, high, college, they're fucking black belts. Yeah. They're black belts in their style of grappling. And martial art and wrestling is a martial art, big time. And that's why a wrestler can come in from high school and walk in and give everybody in the room a damn fit. Yeah. As long as they can stay out of a few things, shit. I mean,
and you
look at Nicky Rod. Yeah, look at Nicky Rod. I mean, early on. Now he's a hell on wheels submission wrestler now. But I bet you the first day that dude walked in class to a jiu-jitsu gym, everybody in there was like, holy shit, and because he just wrestle screws people, and it is, and if you can't stop it, you're going don't whine about it, don't whine about that shit. If you're getting leg locked every time you roll with a guy, don't complain, learn it, adjust, change your game, quit being stubborn. And man, I love that those guys came in and just flipped the whole scene on its head. Yeah. And I initially wasn't like, man, I wasn't sold, but I knew of Danaher for a long, long time, I come from way back when guys like Gokor were just kind of getting on the scene and doing his thing, and Oleg Tektarov and all these old school dudes that were doing leg locks. And I mean, I kind of came from that era. Trained with a guy named Tony Lopez. I don't even know where he's at. He's a little dude, but he's a karate guy that did combat sambo, and he had some mean shit. And I had some videotapes of his instructionals, VCR tapes for you kids. And I used to burn them things up.
For you kids out there.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, man, I wish I could find them, because I remember a lot of the stuff that was on them now, just the braking mechanics and stuff he showed. I was like, God, I wish I could get my hands on those things, because they were awesome. And it's funny, because for the longest time I thought I'm good at leg locks. I know I toe hold, heel hook, reverse heel hook. I mean, all that crap. You knew them. You thought until one day, one of my students is really big into. He literally. I got to say this because it's ridiculous, but he's got that. His name's Tim, and he'll watch this, and I give him massive amounts of shit, and so, but he's about 2 foot tall, and he's got all the Gary Tonin outfits. He came in here one day. Listen, he came in here one day at the American flag shit, and this thing even had his sponsors. I said, it had his shirt, but it had like Toyo tires and all this shit. I was like, they sell it with his sponsors? I was like, that's gangster as hell. Like, they got people running around. And, but anyway, I say that lovingly, because he's one of my brown belts. He's an awesome guy, and he's a small guy, but man, he got so into the leg lock game that it was just like, wow, like it was really hard to stay out of what he was doing. So I started having him. I tell you, I would tell him, I'd be like, Tim, here, I'll buy these videos if you'll study them and teach them. I don't want to fool around with that. You show. I swear, we had a little thing going. So he would come and he would show a few things. I'm like, all right, cool. I can't sit and watch a DVD. I'd rather poke my eyeballs out, and or an instructional. Like, I got like the attention span of a gnat on cocaine, so I have to. I'm like, just show it to me. Let's train. So he ended up starting to show me this stuff. Well, funny enough, 2 years ago in December, I got COVID. I've had COVID twice, but I got that first strain of it.
Yeah, the first strain that we didn't know what it was.
Right. And so I got it, I can tell you some funny ass stories another time. But I got some hilarious stories from that. Anyway, I lost my smell, taste. I was sick for 4 or 5 days, and then it went away. I was like, all right, cool. But then like 2 weeks later, I got like bronchitis, like a second kick of it. Well, I didn't know what was going on, but I knew that I couldn't do anything. If I laid on my back, it was like I was having an anxiety attack. I mean, it was terrible. It was like I just, an elephant had sat on my chest. And so I couldn't do jiu-jitsu. I couldn't train. I literally would demonstrate a move and I'd be just like wheezing. It would be awful. So then I started having pain in my chest. So I thought, oh shit, I'm having a heart attack, or this COVID's done something to my heart. So I went and had all the stress tests. I did the treadmill test. I had the blood work, the EKGs, the echocardiogram. I had all of it. And they're like, no, dude, you're good. And so anyway, I was like, well, what the fuck is wrong with me? And so I had to finally go down a rabbit hole, and I figured it out. And I think the name is costochondritis or whatever. Anyway, it's got something to do with the inflammation in your ribs. And it happens with like viral infections or a bad wreck or something. Anyway, I say all that to say this. I couldn't train. I couldn't roll at all. So I said, and I always tell my guys, I said, listen, an injury is an opportunity to improve. And I've always done that. Anytime I've ever been hurt, I never get down about it. I'm like, all right. And I treat everything in my life this way. If I'm faced with something that sucks and kicks my ass, man, I'm telling you, I just went through probably the hardest 8 months of my life, And I've had to find the silver lining in all of it. And there always is. You know, there's always a lesson. There's always something if you're just not a little bitch, you know, and you deal with it. And that's true. I mean,
I love that moment of like motivational speaker. Don't be a bitch.
That's the truth, man. And I'm the biggest bitch there is. And I have to check myself all the time. And when I'm done pouting, then I put my plan together. And that's what I've had to do. Well, anyway, and like I said, I approach everything this way. And man, I approach it when I quit drinking, when I've overcome a lot of childhood shit, you know, any injuries, any setbacks. I mean, I'm nobody, but the little bit I got, I built that shit myself. You know, I'm a self-made man, and I own everything I have. I don't have debt. I don't say all that because I'm bragging, because I ain't got much, but I'm not owned by shit. I don't, you know, my jiu-jitsu isn't owned by shit. You know, I'm under no one. You know, I get along with everyone. There's a big difference. You know, when you're an asshole and you're alone, that sucks. You're on an island by yourself. I get along with Seneca, with everybody, with Samuel Braga, who I trained with for a while, who promoted me to my first and second degree. I get along with everybody. Our gym is very open. People come from all the gyms around to train here because there's just no politics, no BS. And I make sure that they communicate with their coach, because I don't like that. These young guys, I don't want to get off too far on the making your weakness a strength, but I do want to get back to that. Remind me about people coming to your gym, cross training, and so forth, because this is important. Young guys need to hear this shit. And and girls too. Anybody that grapples needs to hear it, for real. From a business owner, from an instructor, from a guy who's done jiu-jitsu almost 30 years. I'm gonna tell you a big problem in jiu-jitsu, and or people, character, not just jiu-jitsu, just character. But anyway, I always say an injury is an opportunity to improve. So I was like, I can't train hard. I can't breathe. It's still 2 years later, all I can do to really get a good hard roll in. It sucks, but it is what it is. It could be much worse. I could have lost a leg or worse. Anyway, so I don't bitch about it. I just deal. Anyway, I said that year, I told one of the guys, I said, listen, I said, I can't train hard, but I can get better. So I went for 1 year, a complete year, and went down the rabbit hole of leg locks and did nothing but leg locks. Nothing, because I couldn't roll hard. So I would drill, I would dissect things, I would find the connections. When the guys were rolling, if there was a free guy, he would come over and I would just flow in and out of the leg game. By the end of that year, I realized I didn't know shit about leg locks before. And because the leg lock game to me is its own guard. Everyone treats it like here's a leg lock, there's a leg lock, there's a leg lock. When the reality is it's a leg lock guard system, just like, you know, spider guard or X guard or whatever. It's a system. And don't learn it segmented, because you'll never understand the connections, the flow of why these guys, once you get caught, you're like in a spider web of leg lock fuckery. You're just in there. And so because those guys have learned how to chain you and to pull you into that quicksand. So I really spent a long time doing that. And then, of course, I have a lot of, everyone's my influence. I learn more, and I'm not saying this to sound cool or sound like, whoa, what a good guy, but I truly mean this. I learn more from my own students than I've learned from anyone ever. Because I encourage them to go out, cross train, seek, find what you can, and bring good shit, bring it back. Show it to me. I'm not going to be like, what are you doing? You train at my academy. Fucking os, like that's what we do, or whatever it is. I think it's os. God, I can't fuck with that, bro. I'm sorry.
And here's what's funny is that, it's always something. And you had given me this bullet point list a few days ago, and I was kind of looking over things, and then we were, last night we do it in the us, and I was like, why do we say? And I know that sounds terrible.
Nah.
But I'm I realize it's an anything and everything kind of statement. Is. And it's a sign of respect.
Sure. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, nothing, for real. I'm saying just for me, it's cringy as hell. But in the same thing, like when I was doing the Spartan races, and all these guys would be like, "I'll ruin shit." I'm like,
no, can't.
I'm not a cool guy, and I'm not cooler than anybody else. but it's just like, that's, it does. I'm just not doing it. It's hard. My guys don't call me professor. I don't shaka for no reason. Like I said, if somebody shakas to me, they better have a fucking surfboard and like, or whatever. Like, when did that shit become a thing? I guess Brazil, like I don't know, but I don't do that shit. And if you see my guys doing it in a picture, like if we're ever taking a group picture, they're all doing it just to fuck with me. All of them. I don't know why it bothers me, dude, but it's like being around somebody who's doing karaoke and they can't sing and you just need to get up and go to the bathroom. Like, you can't, like, you're like, oh my God, like you're mortified for them. That shit does that to me. And I don't know why, but if somebody does that around me, I'm just like, oh, it's like, what are you fucking, it's fucked up. But anyway,
I think I'm just going to put you and Philip Leitz was on the show a few episodes ago, and we talked about those, the difference between, I'm saying old jiu-jitsu, but I'm talking
that's all
years.
it is. Listen, I'm just a crotchety old jiu-jitsu man. That's all it is. Get off my fucking yard.
To hear people with black belts, number one, say things like, I know this much about jiu-jitsu. Like, that to me scares me as a blue belt, because I'm like, I thought, and then every black belt says the same thing. They say, I spent all this time to get to a black belt, and I feel like I just started over.
Well, I'll tell you why. It's because at black belt, you realize you're never going to outrun jiu-jitsu. You think you get to your black belt, you've hit this level of like, you're a fucking unicorn or something, and you just know everything. But then you get there and you realize, no matter how hard I train, no matter how many, seminars I go to or videotapes I watch, this is my opinion, I'm never going to be any good at this. It grows too fast. And that's because jiu-jitsu's everywhere. People like yourself, blue belts that have an open mind are on YouTube and they're hungry and they're learning shit and they're sharing it and jiu-jitsu. And then all of a sudden somebody with a little bit more knowledge gets a hold of it and levels it up. And then somebody with more knowledge than them levels it up. And then somebody big does it a different way. And somebody long and skinny does it a different way. And before you know it, man, that's the thing. It's a monster. Jiu-jitsu is a monster. And then when you start throwing in wrestling, sambo and all these other styles, dude, they all have their own evolutions too. So you're getting like guys that are doing jiu-jitsu now. I'm envious, but I also feel very sorry for them because we have like dinosaur shit, dude. Back in like when I started, I was a junior in high school. I'm 44 now, so that kind of gives you an idea. But I'm telling you, if you knew a triangle, an Americana, and like a double leg, you were a fucking ninja. Like, you could beat up anyone you knew without question. And it was awesome because I remember I'd go to my buddy Josh's. We were going to his girlfriend's house, and when their parents were at work, and we'd move the coffee table and just drill shit on the carpet, just anywhere we could find anywhere. And we would drill like our 2 moves. And we loved that. I mean, you loved it. It was just so powerful at the time and fun. And you were learning, I got a funny story. I had a bunch of them. But anyway, it was cool because it was so organic and real. And now jiu-jitsu is just, good God, everywhere you look, it's just getting barfed on you. As soon as I turn on my Facebook or social media, it's just blah, 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 blah. I'm like, how do you tell someone like, hey, don't look at that? That's like telling a 14-year-old boy not to look at titties. It's like, I'm serious. It's like, you're going to walk away and they're going to look at them titties, man, because that's what you do. And so you tell a bunch of brand new, under a year jiu-jitsu guys not to look at YouTube, you're out of your mind because they're ate up with now. They got the bug, man. If they get bit by the bug, they can't sleep at night. They're thinking jiu-jitsu 24/7. I was that way. And so, it's like, but the bad thing is it's just too much. It's too much. I just got done training tonight and I was teaching one of my guys and we were working on some really basic, like simple trap roll sweep stuff. And he's like, man, I've been doing this and been doing that. And he said, and I said, and I was, he's one of those guys. He's like, he hurt his shoulder. He's like, man, I've been on TikTok, fucking Facebook, YouTube and everything for 3 weeks. Cause I was hurt just trying to like learn. I was like, you should have come just sat in class. I was like, dude, don't make it harder than it has to be. You
That
know,
is that is the universal thing. Every black belt, everybody in jiu-jitsu and martial arts, get hurt, don't stay home.
uh-uh.
Go
That's
sit on
it.
the sidelines and watch. Go help coach. Like, do something to get in
Well,
there.
be in the culture, be with
Yeah,
your people, be with your community, continue that camaraderie, because that's what encourages the whole process. We don't do it's like this. I can make it real simple real fast. If I asked you and I said, all right, man, like if you knew you would never in your life ever need to use jujitsu or compete, would you still train? Yeah. Then you're not doing it to just be a badass. You're not doing it to learn how to fight. You're doing it because of the community and the culture and your
yeah.
friends. So why are you going to miss that just because your titties are sore or some shit? Like just go sit, be with your people, Uh, and that I know that about me. I'd train the exact same way if I knew I'd never need it because of my friends. My friends are on the mat. They're not my. I'm not. God, I don't even want to say it. They're like they're not my students. They're my friends. I don't mean that, but they really are. By God, And it's like,
Gee
but right,
golly
gee
willikers.
golly, these are just some swell motherfuckers. But anyway, but they're my people, man. Like they're my friends, and they're the people that we do stuff outside here, whatever. And so I always say it's like that FOMO, that fear of missing out. You get FOMO. Just go sit,
Listen
dude.
to you using the acronyms that the kids are using nowadays.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, like I know for me these days, I'll teach all the time, and I mean I used to be that coach for 15 years that would roll with everybody in the room. I rolled every class I taught, and I ain't doing that shit no more. Number one, I got a bunch of killers, and
Yeah,
they love nothing more than to rough me up. So
yeah.
and nobody feeling sorry for me. And
No,
so
we all do that because it's a feather in the cap. It's
sure,
oh yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah. I
always
got
tell
him.
them too, and I bite my own ass because I tell them I'm like, you better come after me, like, I don't want to raise a bunch of bitches, like and I'm not a tough guy. Let me tell you, like they beat my ass, and I love it because the idea is I can't stand. If there's one thing I hate in anything really, but jujitsu is pretty bad about it. I cannot stand the instructors who have this throne they want to stay on in their own school. It's like they dojo storm their own gym. Like they're in there, dojo storming their own students. Like I'm going to be the fucking king dingaling in this class. I'm like, no shit, you're the coach. You're like, my job is to make sure that everybody I coach gets better than me because that's truly my job.
Yeah.
My job not is I don't want to be like that person that's like, yeah, you're pretty good, just not as good as me. It's like, well, you're fired, bitch. Like I'm gonna find somebody who wants me better. Like you raise your kids to be better men or women, and than you were. And
You learn from you. You want them to learn from your mistakes.
yeah, but you got these guys out here that are insecure and they stifle their students, and that's why you see these guys at brown belt and stuff like that switching gyms. Sometimes it's not just because they're assholes; it's because they've picked up on what you do.
Yeah.
And I'll never be guilty of that. I tell my guys all the time, and I mean it. I'm like, I will genuinely be pumped if you catch me legit, because
Well, and I don't mean to jump in, but I have to at this moment because I know exactly where that's going. But anybody listening, anybody watching, the next time you're rolling with people and you see the professor get swept or submitted by one of the students, don't look at the person who just did it. Look at the professor walking away, or the coach walking away in your case, because I know you said that you don't like to be called professor. But look at the smile on their face.
Sure.
Because they know you've been getting better.
Well, think of this. Think about the first time my son, man, the first time he scored a goal in basketball, the first time it went in, I was just like, I'd almost jumped out of my damn shirt. And because you're like, you just watch them maturing and getting better, and you love them and you care about them, and you know what that little sweep did for that person. That might have fueled their training energy for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That one little sweep might have kept them, and you didn't realize they were on the verge of burnout and quitting. And now that just sent them off. You can't, like I said, you can't dojo storm your own students. You know what dojo storming is?
No,
Like
and
back,
that's why I'm looking at you like,
oh, back in the day, back in like the late 90s, you know, guys that did jujitsu would go into like karate schools, like the Gracies would, and basically challenge the instructor, and or jujitsu gyms would go into other jujitsu gyms and just to see who they could beat. And you know, it's like dojo storming. You're storming their dojo. Well, the problem is there's too many damn jujitsu instructors around that storm their own students, or you got guys in class that are showing up to dojo storm everybody in the room. I mean, dude, that's your family. Now, you should be able to go after each other hard
yeah,
and train, but the difference is when you in your own mind, you're keeping score. I beat you. I beat you. I always beat you. And I won't roll with you because you suck. And, you know, if you're in there doing that, you're a dick, you know? And so, but, you know, those types of people don't ever stay around any one gym for whatever reason, because no one ever develops a camaraderie with them.
no bond, yeah, at all.
Right. And that's why we're doing this, man. I know that's corny, dude. Trust me. My the most influential person I've ever had in my life was my judo sensei, Michael Carter, and he was a psychology professor, and he used to talk about things, and we would just sit there and, you know, I'd be staring at the light in the gym, just like, Jesus, Lord, have mercy. But I'm telling you, all that stuff stayed with me, and the culture I try to have in my gym, the culture I try to build with my people is the exact same culture that I grew up in. I didn't know how powerful it was back then, you know, and what an impact it was making on me as a 17-year-old kid, you know.
Yeah,
But to this day, I feel the same vibe in my place, you know. If I ran it different, I'd probably have 500 students.
yeah,
I don't have a lot of students, but they're awesome. Not just awesome on the mat, but they're just genuinely damn good people.
mhm.
And so, you know, that to me, that's what I was setting out to do. I mean, I know you got a lot of instructors out here that are like, you know, I got X amount of black belts and blah blah blah. My goal is to have 12 black belts before they bury me. I want to have 12. I don't know why. You know, I was like, I just want to have 12, but every one of those 12 are going to be
I want to have
amazing.
fun.
I only want 12. Anything above that's a bonus. If I get 12, I will let my highest ranking black belt start promoting the rest. But my first 12 will be my my contribution to grappling. And I can tell you that like all of my, you know, anybody gets a black belt with me, I guarantee you they are solid ass humans. Because judging their skill on the mat, I know people are going to whatever, but that's the least of my worries of how great their jujitsu is. If they're going to get a
Yeah,
black belt, I already know they can go, they can train. But, you know, you think Al Bundy got a black belt because he's a badass on the mat? You know, come on. I mean, you get there's more to this. You know, I always say there's like three different types of black belt or high ranked person. You've got your A level black belt, who that's the guy who goes and does every tournament every weekend. He's a fucking savage. He beats everybody in the room, even as a blue belt. Black belts, everybody's he's a beast.
yeah,
Or the black belt that does the same thing. Just, you know, you got your freaks, you know, your ones that, you know, that are just incredible, but they can't teach shit, and they don't want to teach shit. They've not taught a class in their life. They're an athlete or whatever. They're worried about their own goal. So
mhm.
they don't really even know what they're doing. They just do it. They got great jujitsu and they don't know why. They train, they drill, they go through patterns or whatever, and they're just amazing at it. Okay. Then you got your B guy who's good. I consider myself a B guy. Like, I'm good. I'm going to give pretty much most people a tough role. But I'm a great instructor. I'm a great instructor, and I know how to break things down, and I know how to communicate with people and teach a wide variety of people. You know, that's my real skill. I can still hold my own on the mat. I'm still prideful enough that I want to be good,
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
but I'll get my ass beat by. Well, a good example. One day I was training, and Felipe Pena came in town, and I got an opportunity just to roll with him before he flew back out, and I realized I suck ass. Like I literally felt like I felt like a toilet seat, dude. I was like, this dude's just shitting all over me, like, and he's being nice, and like I was like, I'm kidding, and that's when I knew. I was like, man, there's levels. and I'm feeling it. And I knew he wasn't even trying, but I just had nothing. But I, but I bet I could probably, I'm not saying this to be negative to anybody, but I bet I could probably take a person, if he took someone or someone like him at his level, and we had 6 weeks to train an equally talented age, everything, I truly feel like I could produce a better jiu-jitsu guy faster, because I wasn't a career jiu-jitsu player. I was a
Yeah.
coach. I was a student. I wasn't naturally, gifted. And I didn't want that for myself. Shit, I was a drunk. and I was trying to do jiu-jitsu with a hangover. I don't know how, it is what it is.
Yeah, you
So,
do that a lot, actually.
yeah. Yeah. So anyway, then you got your C-level black belt. And the C-level guy's your favorite guy in the fucking gym. He's hilarious. He's terrible. His jiu-jitsu's terrible. But by God, if he ain't there, you hate it. And when he shows up, everybody in the room's pumped because, because he keeps the vibe so good.
Mm-hmm.
And he keeps people coming and he keeps people excited, and you just love him to death, man. He's like a gym mascot. You're going to tell me if that guy's trained 10, 12 years and he doesn't miss whatever, he's not a black belt? Of course he is. He's added more to that room than the world-class grappler did. The world-class grappler just used everybody as a toilet seat. This guy's over here making everybody love coming to class.
Literally,
They can't
shit
wait.
on him.
Yeah, they can't wait to get out of work to go hang out with, him, because he's hilarious. He makes their evening,
Mm-hmm.
And if you can be a little bit of all of that, that's the goal. Like, I'm a pretty funny guy. I like to laugh and cut up. Our classes are hilarious. Like, I mean, they're hilarious. The shit we do to each other is ridiculous. But we also roll hard. We give each other tons of shit, and it's awesome. It is awesome. And I build a gym I would join, as simple as that. I would 100% train here. And so it's simple. But what I was going to tell you too, what I thought is a real issue, and it's always been an issue.
I was gonna say the cross training. I was like, give me a segue, give me one.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, man, is like this. I tell my guys all the time, I'm like, go train wherever you want. I don't mind. Go play with your friends, but know where you live. It's different. And when you're like that, you never lose anybody, because when half the time when they go out, they realize we do have something special, like the vibe, the community. I want them to go see what else is available. And if they do find somewhere that's a better suit for them, then they need to go there, because here's the thing. If somebody comes in here and all they want to do is be a world champion, this ain't the gym for them. Because I don't give a rat's nuts about points. I don't care about this belt shouldn't do this to that belt. I don't give a shit. And the day I walk into my gym and there's referees on my mat, that's when I'll care about any of that, and so, and I'm not like, I hope nobody watching this thinks I think I'm some, skull fucking and fuck everybody. No, I'm not. But
No,
I tell you,
everybody's different. Like, this is a different game now.
Yeah. Well, and not only that is, God, it's boring to do limited, like, imagine if you could drive your badass car, but you could never take it out of first gear because I'm like, it doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes no sense to me. And that's one of the reasons I don't really train gi. We have gi. Well, my black belts run the gi program. I don't even know if I have one anymore. But I mean, and I don't mean that. That's not enough. Hey, it's like this. I really, truly think, how many people have really been in a damn fight? Very minimal. I mean, unless you live in like the fucking Bronx or something. But if you live in Mayberry, you're not out fighting. You know what I mean? Not really. Unless you're an asshole and you're looking for it. I'm just talking about like Joe Public gets fight. I'd say if you had 100 of them, maybe 5 in their whole life. And that was probably in 3rd grade with Timmy because he, stole his sucker or some shit. But I'm saying like a real ass, you fight. Bro, the thing to me is like, none of us are going to really probably ever use this stuff. It's going to be good for fitness, for confidence, friendship, camaraderie, community, all those amazing things. Fighting, probably not, unless you want to go be a competitor. And then you're not fighting. That's a damn sport. And especially jiu-jitsu matches. Don't call jiu-jitsu matches a fight. It's not a damn fight. And combat jiu-jitsu might be a little bit different. I like
Yeah.
that.
I was gonna say the combat.
It's just
I really
enough to,
love it.
yeah,
I
I do
know.
too. It keeps your jiu-jitsu honest, you know. But doing worlds in a gi is not a fight, or whatever, or naga in a gi is not a fight. You're just competing. You're competing in a sport, and that's fine. You know. I'm just speaking my opinion, but here's the thing. So if someone wants to train gi, if they want to do tournaments, if they don't footlock each other until a wizard taps them on their ass and makes them a brown belt at a certain age, and now they're allowed to touch a foot or whatever. If that's how they want to train, then they should train that way, because the reality is you're not going to need this stuff, most likely. And if you do, you probably will defend yourself just fine.
Yeah.
So I don't have I'm just talking for myself. I don't train gi, not really. If I do, it's because I had to step in and help teach something, but I'd prefer not to wear it. But it's just because of my style of grappling isn't conducive with gi. But I don't care if someone loves gi. It makes no difference to me. If they want to do worm guard, inverted, whatever, that's their thing. That's what gets them off the couch and into a gym. That's fine. Yeah. And so I really don't care what anyone does. I'm just talking from my perspective. And the thing for me is, like, I have to do what keeps me interested, just like exercise. You get sick of working out and you quit working out, then you go back and then you try it again the next New Year's when you think it's your new year, new me shit. And then you go to the gym and you do the same old shit and you get burned out again. You got to make it, you got to change it up. For the longest time, I would do gi for a long time, and then I would do no gi, and I'd just go back and forth. When I got sick of one, people think going to the gym helps you, like you should just be an animal. Dude, that's the worst shit you could ever do for your own jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You're around it all the time. Why do you think I make knives and stuff? I mean, it's how I break my life up. But what I was saying about, God, I have ADD.
So when you say sharpen your skills, you're meaning literally.
Yeah, it's funny. I'll tell that story in a second. What got me into making knives was actually jiu-jitsu related. But I want to really quickly, because this might keep some kid from making some dumbass douche move tomorrow, or whenever. But talk about cross training. If I could tell you one thing, guys, understand this. Before you go and want to jump around and go to other gyms and stuff, understand every instructor is going to kiss your ass for a minute. It's the honeymoon phase. They want you to come feel how good their jiu-jitsu is and their gym is and whatever. Always pay attention to who raised you. And I don't just say this because this don't happen to me. I'm really lucky. But one of the reasons that I've always had a good relationship with the gyms around me is anytime anybody comes to train with me and they want to join, I make them have their coach tell me they've talked to them. I respect the coach. I respect that they're running a business. I respect that I want to find out if this guy's an issue. So I have
because that's a big thing too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Some guys are just running from they owe money, or they've maybe done some shady shit in their school and they're just trying to hide, And I don't want that in my gym. This is my favorite place to be. I don't want you to come in and screw it up. And so I just tell these guys, like, pay attention when you look around. There's a lot of guys that get frustrated in their school, and it's just like any relationship. Have you talked to your coach? Have you said, hey, I'm struggling with this? They might not even know.
Yeah.
Always exhaust every outlet you have in your own gym before you seek other things, because chances are, push come to shove, those are the people that are going to get your back the most. So just find out what you're missing and try. It's like a marriage. It's just like any relationship. Just because you have a bad patch doesn't mean you throw it in the toilet. You try to figure out a way to make it work. And I would encourage these young guys and girls that just feel like they need to do this. If your coach won't let you cross train, that's their shit. That's their problem. They're insecure. If they don't let you cross train, leave. Simple as that. Because you're in a cult, a little one, and you're in their cult. They're a little bitty cult. They're a little midget cult. So anyway, if you If they won't let you do that, leave. You know, because you can't control people. And most of it has nothing to do with money. They just don't want you to get somewhere and have fun and enjoy it, and then you switch just to realize you hated it. I mean, I don't know. Like, for me, it's like I just think communication's huge at everything. Like, you can't get butthurt if somebody's being honest with you. Just see if you can come to a good compromise. Sometimes you just don't know. So anyway, I just tell people that are like that, like, always try to communicate and exhaust every outlet. And if there's just no way to find what you want at the place you're at, that's okay. You know, sometimes, like I said, there's just not people that are going to fit in here. I don't do good with that alpha dog bullshit, the tough guy stuff. I don't like it. I don't want it around me. I don't do good with somebody who's only concerned about being a competitor, because they use everybody in the gym as tapping dummies, and they run off your good people, your friends. They run them off. They don't want to come to class because Joe asshole's here getting ready for Pan Am's next week, you know? And so, or, you see what I'm saying? Anyway.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, man, I could go on and on about stuff like that.
No. And I truly love that, because I feel like, I've talked about it with fighters for years now, where cross training is essential, because you're absolutely right. If you drive the same way to work every day, you're not going to see anything different. If you try the same, like you said, pass to the left or pass to the right, if you try the same thing every day, you're not going to learn what works and what doesn't. You're just going to go with that. And I got, getting the opportunity to train. We had one of our brown belts go to a different school, and, I've known the coach over there for a long time, the professor over there for a long time. And he's a lot like you. I think the two of you would get along just fine. Because he is that kind of like sit in the middle of the mat, not being politically correct as far as like language or whatever else. And I know some jiu-jitsu practitioners would look at that and go, oh no, that's unprofessional, or that's because that's like in your mind, you're so used to like, this is how it has to be. Bro, and I mean, I went and cross-trained with, white belts, and I had white belts whooping my ass in no gi.
Listen, save that bowing freaking, everybody in the same uniform, all that. Save that shit for the movies. Like that's nonsense. I mean, that's not the real world, It's like this, there's a funny thing I read what people say about jiu-jitsu. You go into a jiu-jitsu school and you can look around the room, and this guy's an accountant, and this guy's a hooker, and this guy's actually a girl, and that, but on the mat, we're all the same. I'm like, then why the fuck are you teaching everybody like they're all, like, that's not true. People are as different in their jiu-jitsu as they are in their personality. They're different in their tastes. You don't teach everybody your cultish ass jiu-jitsu, you give them the fundamentals, you give them the tools, the basics, and then you let them figure it out and have fun and enjoy it. Now, that being said, the camaraderie brings everyone together from different, that they're different, but but I hate whenever when people take jiu-jitsu and try to market it as this. Listen, I'm an old school dude about jiu-jitsu. And I'll tell you this, I can't stand when jiu-jitsu is marketed as this, like, it's the gentle way, mutual benefit, and blah, blah. And yeah, it is all those things, but it's also fucking hard, and it's tough, and it'll harden you as a person and get you ready. I know that's cheesy, but dude, listen, if it wasn't for jiu-jitsu, I would have fallen and probably not got back up by life many times. I just had this conversation with a student tonight. I mean, I've been through everything, and damn it, like, I can't say that because of jiu-jitsu, I was able to handle being an alcoholic. I'll just say this. I got used to not being a little bitch because of jiu-jitsu. And at some point, me being able to overcome alcohol has nothing to do with jiu-jitsu. Me being able to be mentally tough and realize that I'm not going to just lay down. Jiu-jitsu created that in me.
Absolutely.
And then here's the thing too. You're not going to be a tough, alpha, mean, rugged dude all the time. You might spend every Monday through Wednesday eating chocolate, watching fucking Oprah, but then for 3 more days, you're just a badass for no reason. Like, it comes and goes, man. I hate these. I don't like when people are like, I'm always just, I was watching something on there's one of these TikToks came up with that dude that eats like bull balls and the liver guy that eats have you seen him? He's like jacked to death on steroids, and he has a beard, and he acts like all he does is eat like cow dick and he's doesn't put shoes on but it's a complete gimmick. I mean, it's a total gimmick. But I'm just sitting there watching this, and I'm just like, this fool wants people to think this is his life all the time.
Yeah, no.
And if it is, man, I feel fucking sorry for him. This dude's sitting around a table of like the nastiest raw shit like ever. And I'm like, bro, if that's your life every day, if that's your life for 6 seconds, I feel bad for you, bro. Like, but it's his niche. And he's got a big following because it's just the shock factor that this dude's going to sit here and take a bite out of a raw bull nut. It's like, God, I'll watch that.
Rocky Mountain oysters, I think that's what they're called.
I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
All I know is it's nuts, and I can't. And you don't. No, man. It just is what it is, bro. You can dress a pig, but it's still a fucking pig. And it's like and so I think. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I just want jiu-jitsu. The jiu-jitsu I do is, in my opinion, well, it's not jiu-jitsu. I'm a submission grappler. And the difference is because I don't care about any points. I don't care about what submissions I teach. The safety record for my gym, I think, would be hard to match because of the community here, the culture. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, I think it's like firearms and kids. I carry. I'm not a gun nut. I'm like Barney Fife. If I fucked with my gun long enough, I'd shoot myself. I'm not a gun guy, but I got guns and I got a carry permit. But I'm not gonna, I can't hit a fucking wall in 10 feet. But what I'm saying is, I'm not scared of the weapon because I go shoot. And I get used to handling it. And if I were to introduce my children, which I will, my oldest is 15, my youngest is 10, but I'll introduce them in a safe environment. We'll go to a range. They'll learn how to how to properly unload, how to handle a gun with an instructor. And you know what happens? That gun becomes much less dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not curious anymore. Now they're not trying to figure out what side goes boom. And blow their damn foot off. So they're not as scared of it, and it becomes safe. And eventually it's just not even a thing. It's and it's a tool for protection or whatever. What I'm saying is it's not the scary thing under dad's bed anymore.
Exactly. It's not the thing up in the closet that's forbidden.
Exactly. And I think that heel hooks, wrist locks, all of it is the exact same thing. And if you train, if you train everything, guess what? They're not as dangerous no more. Everyone in the room knows what they're in. You know how much pressure you can take, what you can apply, and you learn how to use them safely. Now, if you wait till you're a fucking brown belt because the IBJJF or whatever the hell tells you can't do them, and then all of a sudden you decide to start doing them, you're gonna fuck each other up. You're gonna get yourself hurt, or you're gonna enter tournaments where guys have been doing them because they train with a guy like me since they were a white belt. And I don't care if you're 5 times better than them. I guarantee you they footlock you. Yeah. Because it's so hard to stay out of stuff. So hard to stay out of the leg game. I was Dean, Lister, and Donaher, and all of them said that, like it's silly to ignore half of the human body. I mean, it's true. Like, who told us to do that shit? Like, that's dumb. That's the dumbest thing anyone's ever said. I told a guy that when I was rolling with him, I went to a school, I was on vacation, and I went in and I'm that
Disney guy. Vacation, or was it another one?
It was another one. I didn't do anything on this last one. But no, what I was going to say is, if I come to your gym, I'm going to be you're going to love me. I'm the guy that I'm not there to tap nobody, man. I'm there to cut up and have fun. I'm going to share a bunch of stuff. I'm going to make sure when I leave that y'all were better because I was there, not because I'm good, but because I shared one little weird thing that I've picked up along the way that's going to help a new guy do better. Yeah. I always want to leave. And if someone visits me, everybody in this gym knows it's our job to make sure that they leave going, I wish if I lived here, I would have 100% trained here. What a badass place. Wow, how fun was that? You know, we never, a guest is our priority. I don't charge open mat fees. I don't charge guest fees. They just come in, man. And we get guys from all over, from UFC guys to ADCC guys to brand new white belts, because we're in a tourist area and we're the first gym. So I get, in 1 week, you might have, I remember one time it was like, in 1 week out of nowhere, I had 2 guys that were, fighting in the UFC at the time they were on the roster, and a couple of ADCC guys. I mean, in like 1 week, my guys showed up. But you know what? Here's funny about my students. I got students who've been doing jiu-jitsu for 10 years. They've never even watched a jiu-jitsu tournament on YouTube. They don't give a fuck. They just train. They don't know who anybody is. They don't know nothing about the sport. And they come 3-4 days a week. And they don't, I'm like, y'all, because they're not geeks like the rest. A few of us are nerds still. We keep up with this shit.
Yeah.
It's our sport. But most of the people, I'm like, yeah, like so-and-so. And they're like, who's that? Does he train in the morning? I'm like, no, Gordon Ryan does not train in the morning. They don't know shit. And it's like, they don't know. And I love it because they're just genuinely, they've only learned from me. And not that I want that, but they're not out here trying to like debunk the basics of what I'm trying to instill in their game. Because trust me, I don't want them to grapple like me. And once I get them past the basics, I want them to develop their own thing. Yeah. But it's crazy to think that guys are so happy and satisfied with what you've done that they don't seek things. And I think it's because I encourage it so much that they trust you. I'm like, go seek, go find it. If it's out there, bring it back. That's my only rules. If you go train somewhere, you've got to bring something back. Like, I want to know something. And your kids don't leave you if you raise them with respect and you love them and you don't stifle their growth. You know what happens? You have a kid that moves off, and when they become an adult and then they end up having kids and shit, you know what happens? They move back and build a house right next to your ass and raise their kids next to you, because you know what I mean? They don't want to be away from you at a certain point because they realized how good they had it. And I think your gym culture should be like that. You should be like, let them go anytime they want, but they don't want to because they know what they got. And sometimes they do have to go away to figure that out. And sometimes it's where they go is better for them. And you have to be happy for them. You can't be a dick and be a hater and be like, blah, blah, blah. You might suck. You just don't know it, and so for them, and I think it's important to you got to humble yourself, man, as coaches out here. Jiu-jitsu is a scary thing because it works. Jiu-jitsu is the closest thing to magic I think there is. And it's powerful. You give that shit to a guy who's a natural dick or an egomaniac or insecure, or he was bullied his whole life and now he's got a little power and he's wanting to wreck everybody he can and make sure he gets hero worshipped in his own gym. It's dangerous, man. It really is, because it will expose a person on every level. If you're insecure and you're an asshole, jiu-jitsu will bring it out. You'll see it on the mat with them. You'll see how they roll with people.
You'll see what happens when they lose to a lower belt.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude. If you're a coach,
that was rough.
If these coaches out here that if one of their guys catch them, it's like they're their mortal enemy. I'm like, bro, what did you think they're gonna? Your job. I love what Kurt Osiander said once. He said, "You're raising snakes. Don't be mad that you're gonna get bit." And it's like, yeah. I mean, bro, like, I would never be mad if one of my guys caught me. I'd pat myself on the damn back and walk off. Job well done, coach. It's get mad is stupid, especially when they feel. I had a guy come and he wanted to join our gym, and he just said, he goes, man, I caught my coach one day, and he said ever since that day he turns it up on me, and I just feel like he just doesn't like me, and I'm like, that's fucked up. It's like, like, that's not your problem. I said, but before you come here, you're going to talk to him, because you might do him a big favor. Yeah. You might say, look, I've been with you a long time, but I'm leaving, and it's because of this. And he might go, you know what, man, you're right. And I'm sorry. I'm just dealing with a lot of shit. And maybe I've just been unhappy for a while. And I can't, you might change their life. You might say, look, man, I'm leaving because you're a dick. And I just feel like I respect you so much. And you help me. And now once I get to a certain point that I can push you back, now you're mad at me. I mean, that's crazy. But man, it happens, and it happens more often than it doesn't. and there's a lot. Jiu-Jitsu is awesome because it got all of our heads out of our asses with like traditional martial arts. I grew up doing Taekwondo and ran Taekwondo schools, and that was going to be my career. I was going to be a Taekwondo instructor. And that was about 93, 94, whenever I found the UFC started, and we were all clamoring for it. And I found a judo school, and I started there, and then we were doing like Japanese jiu-jitsu, judo, but it was grappling. At the end of the day, we were wrestling and we were grappling. I didn't give a shit if they were Brazilian or not. And so it was just, we're happy with whatever we got,
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think now the danger is, or the good thing is that it got our heads out of our butts, that we're not doing this shit no more and doing pressure points and whatever. But on the flip side is it took guys who didn't need power and gave it to them. Jiu-Jitsu's an open door policy. You can come in and be a freaking an abusive person. You could be, an asshole. You could be the worst person on earth and still get jiu-jitsu given to you. It's dangerous, man. It's scary. And if a person doesn't have a maturity about them, and it's not gonna help them. I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, you see these guys out here that are badass at jiu-jitsu, but they're awful people. You see it on their social media. You say, and some of it I think is an act to get fan base.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them,
of course,
you got a psychology background. You know what you pick up on things, and I do because I've been coaching my whole life. I know when someone's just genuinely an asshole and just genuinely and they're not assholes. They're insecure. Insecurity will just barf the asshole out of you on people because you're just like you're not cool with yourself, and it took me a long time to get to this point. And I'm still insecure and I'm still rough around the edges, but I'm also a good dude. I don't get out here and do, crime. I don't, I'm a fucking teddy bear, son.
Now, I love that. Even if you were trying to be hard in that moment, which you were, but you're like, I don't do crime.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, yeah, man, I'm not gonna smoke that marijuana.
I don't.
Like, it's just the way you said it.
I don't know. It don't appeal to me to be a piece of shit. It don't. And I don't enjoy it. I'm a creative guy, man. I like to paint. I like to make knives. Man, that's my jam. Jiu-jitsu appealed to me because it's creative.
Yeah.
I was already a black belt in Taekwondo and all this other stuff, and I hadn't gotten any better in a long time. Jiu-jitsu, I know I got better tonight. I got shown 2 or 3 things tonight. I was like, that's cool. And I'm better. On some level, I progressed. And so that's amazing, and I just want jiu-jitsu to still, when I grew up, man, if you were to see, and you hear guys my age sharing this story a lot, but if you saw a blue belt back in like 96, he could beat up anyone you knew.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd be a fucking ninja. And if they were a purple belt, it was just like, don't even make eye contact with them. Just like, don't even look at them. Yeah. Like just turn and, throw rose petals at their feet when they walk, shit like that. And that was all you ever saw. I honestly didn't see anything above a purple. There was like one purple around here for several years. And so being a black belt was like, man, that ain't for us. We'll just scrapple. We all want our blue belt was our black belt, and so I think I got my blue belt it was the late 90s. I don't really remember. It was a long time ago. And and then I didn't even wear a gi for 8-9 years. I just did MMA and stuff. And I was really frustrated because what was happening was I could see it and I knew it was happening as we were grappling and doing judo and everything else. And it just seemed like a racket was happening. A lot of people were moving and doing seminars and just opening. And it just didn't seem like, it seemed like a money grab.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not getting involved in that shit. I'm not going to be under anyone, whatever. And I didn't go under anyone until I went under Seneca. And I went under Seneca because, we played a similar game. He was a half guard guy. I was real into half guard then. And I remember the first time.
half guard.
Yeah. he's amazing at it. You guys don't know Seneca? He's an old school dude. He won of 96 Worlds. His first year they had Worlds. Then went and won the ADCC Legends thing against Megaton. He beat Megaton in the finals in 96. And this is a funny story. I hope I don't get in trouble sharing this shit. But this is a true story, dude. He was here at my gym. He would come in and do seminars every now and then. Me and him have a great relationship. And so he's funny. My God, he's funny. He's an intense dude, bro. He's intense. He's like, he's not very tall, but damn, he's terrifying. And so he was in my gym, and I got a good Seneca impression. Hold on, if I don't start laughing, I can't do it. He might get pissed at me. But anyway, he said, he's well for the dude. He called me Jim for 10 years almost. He said Jim, and I was like Gene, Jim, and so when I was getting my black belt, This is like 2013 or something, 14. And he's like, how you spell name? I was like, motherfucking G. I was like, please God, don't give me a Jim Click black belt certificate. But now I would love it. Like, it would be the funniest thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
I wish like hell I had a Jim Click certificate. But so he called me Jim forever. And I remember the first time I rolled with him, it was just me and him. And he changed. I've had to change my game so much over the years, because back in the day I'd roll real light and I was so technical, and I was an X-guard guy, and I thought I was fucking amazing, and I sucked. And so I was like, the first time me and him ever hooked up. Well, he messaged me one day, and he said, who's your instructor? And I was like, I don't have one. He said, you're like a dog without an owner. I was like, fucked up, but okay. And so he said, you're like a dog without an owner. But I was like, all right. So we hooked up, and he did it somewhere. And I remember the first time I rolled with him, and I was a lot bigger than him, just bigger guy. We're about the same height, but he's probably 180, 170, and I was like 250. And I was like, he's going to be so impressed with me. I'm so technical. I'm a big bastard, but I roll. And I was like, look how fancy I am. And I rolled with him, and he just stopped me. He goes, Jim. And I was what? He goes, why you roll like an angel? And I was like, he said, why you roll like an angel, you big motherfucker? He said, you roll like a devil. He said, not be a bitch. He goes, I am Seneca. And he said, you kill me. And I'm not kidding. I tried to kill his ass after that. And he changed my whole game. Ooh. That day, it was just me and him. And ever since then, I'm telling you, dude, top pressure passing has been my game ever since, but it was so funny because I thought I was just going to blow his mind at how technical I was for a big guy. And I just basically got called a bitch and had to change. So that's why I stayed with him, because he was straight with me,
He called you out on it. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And that's just him, dude. He's awesome. And there's so much good jiu-jitsu around, man. You can train with whoever, but get around somebody that'll call you on your shit, but then they'll back it up too. They call their own shit out as well.
Yeah.
He was sitting here one day, and he was about to do a seminar or something. And he goes, Jim. He said, he was telling me that they offered him, that ADCC, that Legends offered him to go against Megaton. And I was like, fuck yeah, do it. That'd be cool. Dude, Seneca didn't train. He did not train. Seneca travels the world and does jiu-jitsu and has fun, and that's his thing. He'll tell you. He's like, I like soccer. He don't even like jiu-jitsu that much anymore. But he says it to be funny. He loves jiu-jitsu. But anyway, he was sitting here, and he was just like, they offered me this, and I tell them to go fuck themselves. And he said they offered me $15,000 or something like that. And I hope I don't get in trouble for all this, because it's a funny story. And next thing I know, he accepted the match. Well, you realize that Megaton's competed every year since 96. And he's been in like almost every Master Worlds, whatever. And I was just like, damn. I was like, that's going to be a tough ass. I knew that Seneca didn't train. I mean, he's amazing, but he's older than me. I don't blame him. Fuck, if he wants to get on the mat and go ham every day. I mean, he's always been good. Just because he didn't train like an athlete didn't mean he wouldn't bust your ass on the mat. And he's just really good. And so, But I just knew that this is a different game. And I'm not kidding, bro. Like, if you've ever had a chance to train with him, he's got these weird things he does. And the whole time I'm like, I don't know how necessary all that little light bulb turning and all this shit is. But you have to do it. If you train with him, he will make you do everything his way.
Yeah.
And when he went against Megaton, dude, I watched him do a seminar on Megaton. I was just like, he's doing everything that he's taught me. And I've always kind of been like, well, yeah, I could, yeah. It's more of a respect thing. I'm going to do what he does because I respect him, you know. He's my coach. But I was, you know, you always have that in the back of your mind, like, maybe, you know. He has this thing where he's called poop in the bush. He's shitting in a bush. That's how he stands with his feet all crooked. And he's like, you poop in the bush. And I'm like, I don't poop in bushes. I poop in the toilet, you know. And so, but holy balls, it works. And he's like an OG fucking legend. And if people looked him up and watched him, he does stuff that no one does, man. And I watched that match with him and Megaton, and he literally did a seminar that I've been to 5 times on him. I mean, the drag he did to come up and finish the sweep. And he's like, I trained for it 5 times. That's what he told me. He said, I trained 5 times for that. He goes out there and beats Megaton and blows Mackenzie Dern a kiss. Fucking gangster. He just beat himself and was like, wah! Got his belt and came home. That was it. That's him, dude. He's awesome. I don't think he's trained since then. And I was like, how you get up off the couch after 20-something years, train a handful of times, and go out and do that? That's the competitor in him, you know. But I could go on. I got so many stories. I got some crazy stories about early ADCCs and stuff. I ain't sharing them. It's nothing bad.
Don't get me in trouble. No, I don't need. Listen, I already messed up De La Riva, where you're like Ricardo. It's like Eduardo, and I'm like, no, I'm thinking of De Lima. Okay, my bad.
Well, I'll tell you sometime, but I can't share it because it's not anything bad. Like, it's not criminal bad or weird. It's just a funny ass bunch of stories that no one really knows about the very first ADCCs. And I was around like when that whole thing. I actually did a qualifier.
Qualifier?
Yeah, back in the 99. I got the medal over there. I'll show it to you. It's 1999. I don't know if it's the first or second ADCC, but it was me, Minotauro Nogueira, before he had ever fought in the UFC, any MMA. Cafe Dantes. There were several of us. Anyway, I drove all the way to Evansville. We went to Evansville, and I was cutting I broke my wrist like 2 weeks before it, and I'm cutting the cast off in the car like a dumbass. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And so I ended up re-injuring, snapping my wrist. And it was a mess, but it was just crazy to look back on those days and be like, God, it was just in its infancy, you know, and to where everything is now is nuts. But I'm so grateful, but that I was around for those years, man, because it was just real and amazing and just raw as hell, and we didn't know what we were doing, and it was just fun, man. And
everything's done that, and I think, like you said, it's changed in a positive way.
Yeah.
It really has.
I try not to be that guy that's like that old crotchety guy. Like, man, when I used to go to school and walk in the fucking snow up the hill and back down up a hill, and you know, I really do.
Both ways.
Yeah, I like to try to evolve, you know, with things, and as things are progressing, as long as it's like valuable, I won't change with something just for the sake of changing if it's stupid. Yeah. You know, and that's kind of where my stance is. Like, if it's good, it's good. I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care who showed it to me. I don't care if it's gi, no gi, if they're American, if they're freaking, you know, an alien. If it's good, then let's go. And but that's my thing, is it has to be real, or I don't want no part to do with it. That's one of the reasons that I'm not into the gi or into tournament rules and whatnot and points, because to me it's just, you know, people can say whatever they want to say, but it's come on, you know, it's not. It's a sport, in my opinion. Gi grappling is a sport, and it's a great one, and it's tough as shit. And if I were to enter a black belt gi division, I would get my ass kicked. And but you know, that's not my thing. Gordon Ryan would probably not be Gordon Ryan in a gi. You know,
yeah.
I think you could give him like 6 seconds in a gi, and he'd probably be a fucking world champion in a gi too. He's a freak. But but you know, my thing is like everybody's like, we'll do a little bit of both. I'm like, I don't want to do that. It's not fun, and I don't want to be shitty in both. I'd rather be mildly shitty in one, you know. And so it's you can only be, you know, there's only so many hours in the day, man. You know, I don't I don't I don't make my living being a competitive jiu-jitsu person. I make my living coaching. I make my living training people, making them better, making them healthier. I make my living selling knives all over the world. You know, that's what I do. You know, I don't. So I'm not gonna invest my time in things that are just, you know, like pissing in a fan. It makes no sense. You know, and so that's kind of where I'm at with everything. Same with knife making. Same with anything I do, man. I will seek out the bullshit like a an investigator. Like I will, before I even try to learn it, I try to figure out I try to figure out what's wrong with it before I even mess with it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's good and bad because it does make you skeptic at a lot of stuff. When you really just need to just go do it. And dude, I'm a mess. There's days that I'm not like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, man, you can sell me a fucking, you know, mud popsicle with white gloves. I don't give a shit. Let's go. And then there's days that like, you know, like I'm just sniffing out bullshit, you know. I'm just like anybody else, man. The only difference between me and everybody else is I'll just 100% say it. I mean, dude, there ain't nobody going to remember me. You know, there's no one going to, no one's, you know what I mean? Like the world goes on. Quit worrying about what people think because no one gives a fuck, man. Like no one cares. I share and I dedicate my life to things that I think will create a ripple effect in a positive way. Even if it's just some words I say, man. And try to not make it worse. Don't lie. Don't be a piece of shit. Don't be don't be somebody that you want to be that C-level guy that shows up to jiu-jitsu that everyone is so pumped that showed up.
Yeah.
You are a contribution to the planet. You are fucking sunshine. You know, we'll sit there and idolize a microscopic population of people that do jiu-jitsu. I mean, you can count them all on, a couple hundred people. We look at them, you know, the B team, the Danaher Death Squad, the this, the that, you know, we'll sit there and man, that's like this many fucking people that do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Or less than. I mean, you couldn't even hit them with a microscope. If you put the jiu-jitsu population across the world, they would be like, you couldn't even spot it. You know what I'm saying? But yet we focus on them and make that just like any sport. You know, we watch Michael Jordan, you watch all these guys, they're the greats. You watch them, but don't forget that the real jiu-jitsu world isn't on Instagram. It's not at ADCC. It's not at Fight to Win or whatever. It's that guy that shows up to class that you fucking like, that you can't wait to hear him just say some ridiculous shit while you're rolling, you know, and you know, because you're waiting out, you love it. They're twice as funny because you know they're funny.
Yeah.
You just wait on them just to drop some nonsense on you so you can just belly laugh at them.
Yeah.
So anyway, I go on forever, but
you have to come back on. I think if we kept going, it'd be like 6 hours long.
Man,
we still have it. So let's start with first. The podcast is official as far as on your end.
Yeah.
You got a name for it. We don't have a first episode yet. Not that I've seen.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't know how to do that shit. So I downloaded the app. I did a test and was like, well, if this plays back, then I'm onto something. I hate technical little stupid things. Like I'm literally a caveman. And when it's like, save this, delete that, edit that, I'm fucking out. I'm already like, all right, I'm done. And so, but it's important because I do want to reach people. And I just am like, you know, it's been something I've wanted. It's been a bucket list, you know, it's really what it is. And, but I'm going to change the name if I can figure out how, but it just says it's just Gene Click. It's just my name. And,
I gave you your name and I will let you have it. I will let you have it.
What was it?
The genetics of jiu-jitsu.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just it. I don't want it to be a jiu-jitsu only thing.
Yeah.
I want it to be like this, man.
Genetics of life.
Yeah. I just want to like completely just like go off the rails and just, you know, like dude, I got so many onion layers of my life that I could share. And I know that it would be a shame. Not that what I have to say is good, but it's
Mhm.
good for somebody. I'm
Yeah.
not, it's like anything, man. I can't change the world, but I can change a couple people's lives. If they're walking down the same path I was, uh, you can't, you're going to have 10 times the amount of people that think you're an idiot than the people that you really help.
Yeah.
But fuck them, and because it's like this, dude, I was going to die. My kids were going to grow up without a dad. Um, this gym was going to be left without me. The community that I've helped is going to be left. If I didn't figure it out, I'd be dead. That's the truth. That's not some horse shit. And so if I could just strike a chord on a real level with somebody struggling, I could give a shit about what anybody's got to say about me, because I'm going to give somebody their dad back. I'm going to give somebody their best friend back, and then some, the real version of them. If you could, the sober version.
Yeah.
And so, I don't need, the world needs more people that aren't just, they're not just out trying to get likes and put fucking filters on and be just full of shit,
Yeah.
Like if we could just quit living for horse, you got, most of us are surrounded by people, real people, and we don't give a fuck. We're only worried about people we'll never meet. Their opinion, their approval. I don't give a shit. The only reason I'm doing the podcast is because there's going to be somebody I'll never meet, I'll never know, and I'll never talk to, that I'm going to change their life, I hope.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean,
and that's the real shit right there.
Yeah.
Like that right there. Like you said, it's not a,
I tell you,
like I've gotten to talk to people I never thought I'd talk to. I've had people interact with me who I've never thought I'd interact with. And it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not making any money off this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be, the irony is going to come when I start plugging the website after this, but if you want to buy stuff that's cool, yeah, whatever. But I'm not doing it to make money. Like I'm doing it to have people tell stories.
That's like me making knives, dude. I don't make knives. That's why I don't take orders. I make what I want. If somebody wants it, cool. But what I was going to say, and this will be the last thing, but you said that, and I'll tell you, when I was seeking out my sobriety, there was a thing I found on YouTube, and I'll never meet this dude. He has no idea that it made an impact on me. And it was something I came across, and the guy said, take out a piece of paper and write down 5 of the most important events in your life. Things like your kids being born or whatever. Write them all down. Getting my black belt was a big deal, dude. I cried like a little girl in front of a couple hundred people.
I will too.
It was a big fucking deal. Because I was that kid who didn't even think Americans could become black belts or whatever. I didn't give a shit if I was surrounded by black belts. Their black belt didn't mean shit to me because it was different. Their path was different than mine. Mine was sucked. And so yeah, I lost my shit. But I wrote down those 5 things, and all of a sudden it was like, he was like, okay, you got them all down. And I was sitting in my car in the student pickup line, picking up my oldest son and the car riders. And he said, okay, now look at those 5 things, read them. And he said, every one of those things you were sober. And it was like, oh, I was like, he goes, yeah. And so I was like, motherfucker. I was like, yeah, it was. He goes, this ain't helping you. Everything that means anything to you, it is. You didn't have alcohol. You didn't have this addiction. And that was huge. And this dude it's still on YouTube somewhere, but he ain't never going to meet me. He's this little Indian dude from somewhere, but I'll still remember it forever, because it changed my whole shit. My whole thing changed. And I was like, So my goal is to hit somebody in the chest like that hit me. And if so, you can't, you can't buy that. You couldn't pay me, like that was so important to me that if I had $1 million and somebody said, hey, if we'll give you $1 million if you could go back to that day and never hear that, I wouldn't have took it, because that was the turning point for me. And it's crazy, and all this sounds so cliche, and it does sound. Here's the thing: things sound cliche and corny because there's everyone that says it's full of shit and don't do it. Yeah. So everyone fucking says it. Everybody's like, oh, do this and be this and get up every morning and eat fucking bull nuts and conquer the world and but they don't do that shit. And like anything I say, and like the way I teach jiu-jitsu, I do it because I've done it, you know, and I've lived through it. And that's why I get like this when I get to talking about it, because I'm like, dude, this ain't bullshit. Like, this is real. I lived this life. And so I don't want to take that with me and not share it. What a dick I'd be, you know? And so that's it. So anyway, when the podcast comes out, I'll share it, because it's just going to be a lot of this, man. It's just going to be a lot of me just hitting record and going off on my thing. And, you know, I don't ever run out of words, man. I don't. There's a lot of crap between these ears.
I don't think there's a lot of episodes where the guest talks more than me, because I talk a lot too. So I love it. I love it.
Traffic, yeah. I've done a few podcasts, man, and it's always the same thing. But you know, I don't know, bro, because you know, it's funny. Growing up, I was so insecure. You know, we were really poor. We didn't have shit, and went to a really kind of a wealthy school, and the kids were mean. I was really overweight. Super insecure. I was that kid that if I was going to have to stand up and even say my name is Gene in class, my ass ain't going to school that day. I'm sick. And like, I was just terrified of talking, of being heckled or bullied or whatever. I was never physically bullied. I wish I was. It would have been easier than the emotional. Mm-hmm. But it's all these years, everything I've done is the good and bad has instilled this in me to where I have no issue. Like, I do tons of things where I go do speak and or go do things with kids, and man, that's my world, dude. Like, that's what I feel like is my calling ultimately. It won't be doing fucking leg locks. I mean, I can only do that for so long, man. You know, it's going to be out here making an impact with your stories and yourself. But be that. If you're going to talk that shit, be that. Don't, you know, I hate this influencer, you know, stuff on YouTube and everything else. Just influencers. I'm like, you're a fucking clown. You know, these people are, especially, they're just clowns, man. I'm like, and you know what sucks is they're not, because there's people that buy their shit, and that makes them, it's like clowns and idiots just spinning in circles, man. But who am I to say? I'm not, I drive a freaking 20-year-old truck. And you know, it's like, maybe I need to be out here, you know, doing, I don't know. It doesn't make me money doesn't make me happy, man. It doesn't motivate me in the least, dude. Like, I run my business awful. I can't believe I've been open 20 years. I'm that guy that if anybody tells you, it's like, you're going to have to chase him down and give him your money. I'm like, we'll do it next time. And it's stupid. If I had a manager, I'd probably be a millionaire, but it don't do nothing for me. As long as I got gas in my car and enough money to, you know, get around, my kids got what they need, dude, I am straight. I'm horrible in that way. I need to work on it, but it just doesn't motivate me, and I don't want it to start motivating me. You know, I can't stand greedy people, man. I can't stand greedy people and liars and people that are just fake. Fakeness is the real COVID, in my opinion. You fake bitches, like, everything they do is just all for likes or approval or to not get exposed. And I can't stand it, dude. I think that's what bothers me about a lot of this shit and whatever. Not that I think it's bad, but I'm not trying to get shotgunned and osed by a guy with a $400 gi that's been training jiu-jitsu for 6 days. Like, go take a knee, buddy. You know, like, your gi's worth more than my car. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? I think that's what it is. You know, you earn your I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I am a dick. I'm sure
I don't know, man. I've been training consistently now for 3 years. I have one gi.
Yeah.
And because the other one didn't finish.
The piss smelling gi. We were going to talk about that real quick. I got 10. I'm gonna give you a couple seconds. If your gi smells like cat piss, if it smells like cat piss, you're the fucking worst dude in the gym. And I need to be sponsored right now. There's on Amazon. It's called Rockin' Green. It's detergent, and it will clean your skanky ass gi. Because you're showing up. It doesn't make you cool. Cauliflower ear doesn't make you cool. It makes you have cauliflower ear. You know, and if your gi is fucking gross, it doesn't make you hardcore. It doesn't make you that guy. It makes you nasty. And same with your belt. I can't say to people, like, I don't wash my belt. I'm like, you're not a fucking samurai. Like, you're not going to lose your powers Like your belt literally is the grossest part of your gi, you know? So did you find it, Rocky?
I
There it
did.
is. Hey, listen, one of my members told me about that stuff, dude. It is the jam. Because I almost threw it was back when I was training gi. I almost threw $1,000 worth of gis away because, you know, you sweat in them, they get in your car and you forget it's in the back seat. And the next day it smells like hell came and got it.
Yeah.
And it's like awful and you can't get it out. You think it gets out, then you go in and do one shrimp crawl and you like ignite with funk. And your shirts, rash guards and stuff too. And I was like, I'll try it. She gave me something. Dude, it was gone. I mean, gone. And so ever since then, man, I don't know how much of that shit I've sold them. But you know, just be respectful of the people in your school, man. Don't be don't be that stinky ass guy. That's awful. And it's crazy because I've rolled with people before, and I swear it's like their gi was literally, you know, litter box for a month in August. I mean, like really, dude, you not smell that? Like you're, you know, like flies are swarming around your ass and shit. And you know, I had one guy tell me this, and I don't even know if it's true, but I almost smacked him. He was like, "Bro, this is what they do in Brazil. They go roll, then they put their gi out in the ocean and rinse it out, and then let it hang, and then they put it back on after they're surfing and go roll more. And that salt water's why it's yellow." I was like, "Bitch, this ain't Brazil." I was like, "And you got a washing machine, and you know it's a Mr. fucking ringworm at, you know, like." He had this story and justified. I'm like, or you just don't want to do your laundry, you know? And so, anyway, we'll cut it on that.
Dude, thank you so much. You know, I will throw it out for the sponsors on my end.
Yeah.
You know, people who it's more for me supporting them than them supporting me. I say that in a way, but like the beard, if anybody watched the last episode I put up, my beard was a lot bigger, and I decided to try and, you know, trim a little bit, and I trimmed a lot of it. So I'm kind of freaking out a little bit, but I have beard oil.
Hey,
I
tried to grow my beard for a year, and because I thought I'd have the cool gray shit, and I have none. I'm just like, it's like a leprechaun. And I found out that gingers don't hardly go gray.
Yeah.
Like we're like vampires, dude. We don't go out in the sun.
I've got it like here.
Dude, I'm 44 and I got like one gray hair. And yeah. I thought I'd look all distinguished and like Sean Connery and shit. And it didn't. My kids call me a fucking leprechaun. So, yeah. And all the beard oil and stuff, that's a lot of work, bro. I get it. What is that?
Yeah, that's the company. So it's nice.
You got to have it. If you're going to let your beard grow out, don't do it all like dry and manly, because then you look like that dude that eats those bull nuts. You're going to have to look him up.
I'm going to.
Liver King.
I can't believe I'm going to have to look this up, but I'm going to.
Dude, it's like a train wreck, bro. You can't turn your head. You got to watch it. And it's Liver King, because my son talks about him, and I looked it up, and I'm like, this is crazy. I was like, there's no way this dude's going to bite into this like donkey dick. And sure,
the Quiggin Out podcast does not condone Liver King or any of his acts.
No. If you're going to eat nuts, cook them.
Yeah.
At least cook them. You know, you don't want to be weird.
I'm sad because you were just in Orlando, I know, recently. And my friend's bake shop, Bertzo's Bake Shop, is there. So she makes some amazing desserts. Probably some of the best things I've ever had in my life. Like, I'm not even kidding. And it's super cool. And then I just, you know, I put a Streetlight Manifesto because I love the band and it looked cool in my hat. But the newest edition that most people might not have seen is actually Malice. I love BattleBots. The last two guests I've had on have been people from BattleBots. And I realized the more and more that we talk that BattleBots is just robot MMA. Someone come at me and try to prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Because it ain't going to happen. So, and then the last thing, obviously, you know, we were talking about not doing this for money, but I finally, you know, took the plunge and made a store where you can get like Quiggin Out cups and shirts. And I'm not telling anybody to buy things. I'm not saying I need it, but if you want to, it's there. Like, just like Gene behind him, I could see stuff for sale on the wall. He's no dummy. But I'm just giving you shit.
Hey, those fucking shirts have been hanging there like 8 years. I swear.
But
I'd give them away if they'd take them.
I mean,
they ain't gonna fit you, bro. These are like that's why they've been hanging there so long. No,
because they're extra small. Oh, you saying I'm not an extra small? Is that what
I
is that
don't.
what we're saying here?
I'm not gonna just assume, but I bet my money that you're not an extra small.
Yeah, I'm not an extra. I don't think I've ever
Me
been an
either.
extra small. Like,
Nah.
but dude, we didn't even get to talk about the Forge and Fire stuff, and I think that's a good thing because honestly, gotta have you back on. I mean, it's an absolute pleasure, and I know for most people, you don't know, like we've done this before, and the audio and everything just was destroyed. Like there was no salvaging it, and I really was worried that like it was a one-time thing, and it clearly was not. As far as like the chemistry and just the stories you tell and like the message that you have. So, on behalf of myself, Combat Press for giving me this platform, um, thank you. And I can't wait to do it again. And I've got a deal for you. You're gonna tell me those stories when I come up there and train.
Okay, that'll work, man.
I think we can
If
make
anybody
that.
wants to come, man, I'm in Sevierville, Tennessee, right outside of Pigeon Forge. It's a huge tourist area. Everyone comes here for the Smoky Mountains. Man, just find me, and everybody's welcome to come by. No mat fee. Just don't be a douchebag,
Yeah.
and we'll have fun, man. So yeah, anybody's welcome.
And especially make sure you tell them you saw it on this so that you get nothing extra.
Nah, I got some. I'll give you a sticker. I got
Oh, there you go.
fucking A.
Hey, if he's got stickers, that's how it goes, man. So, anyway, Gene, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And you guys have a great night.
All right, see you guys. Fucking old.